This is The Offside, and welcome to another episode of the Real Recap, where we cover the latest news and rumors surrounding Real Madrid. But without further ado, let's get started. Real Madrid traveled to Manchester to face off against Manchester City at the Etihad in the second leg of the quarterfinals for the Champions League. In the first game, they played out to a 3-3 draw. But coming into the game, all the pundits and journalists already had Manchester City through. Apparently, Manchester City was some type of monster that nobody could ever beat. They even said that Real Madrid themselves couldn't beat them. They've never done it at the Etihad. There was also a Rudiger streak that they're undefeated while he's on the pitch for Manchester City. So it felt like in many people's eyes this game was just a formality. But it looks like nobody told Madrid that. I can address all the anti-Madridistas that hate watching the game to see our downfall. A certain group of fan bases that out of nowhere become Manchester City fans. But they seem to have bigger problems on their hands, so I hope they figure that out first. But before we keep going, I want to give a quick round of applause to Real Madrid. Every player on this team gave it their all during that game. Mistakes happen, you just have to keep fighting. This club is ingrained with a fighting spirit that nobody can match. And guess what, boys? The power of friendship is real and it wins again. People dismiss how important it is to care about who you're actually fighting alongside with, day in and day out. This is a team bonded by a culture, not a group of players just put together by money. Winning is in Real Madrid's DNA. Fuck that, winning is Real Madrid's DNA. And now I see a lot of bitching and moaning talking about how the better team didn't go through, as if that's some type of indictment against Real Madrid. This club is built to win by any means necessary. Ugly, pretty, great, shitty, doesn't matter. Just win. But now we're through, and we can't focus on that game. Now we have to focus on Bayern Munich, the other team in Europe that has championship DNA. Now people are going to point to Bayern Munich not winning their league for the first time in I don't know how long. But now because they're not going to win the league, their only focus is the Champions League. To be a team that knows how to win is to be a team that knows how to suffer through shitty games and still find a way to manage a win. Both Real Madrid and Bayern Munich are built from championship DNA. But that's enough of my little rant-ish there. Let's move on to breaking down the game. Early in the game, Madrid mirrored a lot of what they did in the first game, focusing on counterattacks and making them clinical. 12 minutes into the game, Rodrigo finds the back of the net. After an out-of-this-world first touch by Jude Bellingham, he finds Valverde down the side, Valverde finds Vinny further up, and then Vinny crosses the ball into Rodrigo, where it took him 2 shots to get the ball in the back of the net. After the goal, Madrid seemed to favor a more defensive game plan. Now this is where I believe the absence of Tchouaméni had a big impact on Madrid. Like any world-class CDM, he's the anchor point of the team, providing defensive structure and support and linking up play to the front end guys. So in my opinion, his absence was huge for Madrid. That's why the game looked the way it did. Manchester City is structured to play in only one way, and that's for them to have possession of the ball more than the opponent. Their game plan is to pass you to death. Now one way to counteract that is to settle in on defense and cut out any passing lanes into dangerous areas. Let them have the ball. Let them keep making sideways passes. The thing about having such a rigid play style and structure within the team is there's no room for creativity. City's players are more concerned with maintaining possession than they are creating opportunities to score. That's why a weapon like Haaland is not being used properly. He's not meant to play the style. He's not the most skillful player. He's a physical freak. Use his physical advantages to your advantage. You have a dude that's bigger than everybody else and he's faster than most people, and you have him playing back to net. But this is where I believe Carlo Ancelotti shines. If you ask me, as a Madrid fan, to define Carlo Ancelotti's play style, I could not do it. But that's because he doesn't have a set play style. He's a player's coach. His speciality isn't drawing up game plans. His speciality is knowing the player. He knows the player's weaknesses. He knows the player's strengths, and he uses them accordingly, depending on what the team needs in a certain game. But that's not to say that Ancelotti doesn't have any tactics that he uses for the team. His tactics are more player-oriented. He lets the players do stuff that they're good at. And with the world-class talent pool like Madrid has, Ancelotti gets the best out of his players, period. Andriy Lunin, Lucas Vazquez, Nacho Fernandez, these are players that a lot of people would not have a lot of faith in. But Carlo Ancelotti puts his faith into them and they reward it back to him with performances like these. Now, I don't think the game plan coming into the game was to get a goal early and then sustain unlimited pressure from Manchester City for the rest of the game. But that's how the game was playing out, and instead of getting frustrated and the players quitting on the team because things aren't going according to the game plan, both the coach and the players are willing to do whatever it takes to win. A lot of players on a lot of different teams would be frustrated and kind of give up on the team because they're not getting the touches that they need. But these are the times where your culture has to prevail. Every single last one of these players said, fuck it, we're gonna roll our sleeves up and we're gonna run ourselves into the goddamn ground to give ourselves an opportunity to win this game. Because even if you give all of that effort, it does not guarantee you anything. It just offers you an opportunity to win the game. But at Real Madrid, that's all you need. By no means was it perfect, but that's where your players come into the picture. Antonio Rudiger is a fucking legend. Andriy Lunin was the third option keeper that a lot of fans hated, but now he comes up so big in this performance. Carvajal literally ran himself into the ground. He just could not continue. Ferland Mendy played well, Camavinga played excellent. Toni Kroos turned into a defensive positioning expert out of nowhere. Nacho kept tabs on Haaland for the majority of the game. Jude had to run and press up high, and then he had to run and press down low for the entirety of the game. Federico Valverde doing Federico Valverde type things. I think he's actually still running right now. Hell, even Vinny and Rodrigo were tracking back to try to defend. Were they great? No, but the effort was there. This game was about heart. Madrid fought all the way for 120 minutes. Once the final whistle blew and the teams were set to go to penalties, each side had a different reaction. You can see that Pep Guardiola did not like the situation he found himself in. Pep Guardiola is a control freak, in a good way, but now he can't control penalties. And you could see it in his face, he didn't like this. And I feel like that translated to the players. A lot of them had their heads down now. While on the other side, all Carlo Ancelotti had to do was raise his eyebrow. And the team understood the assignment. Manchester City hit the first penalty kick and scored. First up for Madrid was Luka Modric. Unfortunately, he missed. Next up for City was Bernardo Silva. Silva took one of the worst penalties I have ever seen, and Lunin stood still and just caught the ball. Up next was number 5, Jude Bellingham. Cool, calm, and composed, he took a penalty and he put it away fairly easily, sending Ederson to the complete opposite direction. Kovacic was up next for City. He shot the ball low and hard to the left, but Lunin was right there to stop it. That's now 2 stops for Lunin, putting his team in a great position. Next up for Madrid was Lucas Vazquez. This man has balls of steel. The fucking guy was juggling the ball before he took this pressure-packed penalty. He walked up and he said, "This shit's easy," and he just puts in the bottom corner. And then Nacho steps up. He summoned his inner Sergio Ramos and he put away a beautiful penalty. And now the 5th penalty to win the game if he scores. Up steps Antonio Rudiger. He had an unfortunate mistake earlier in the game that let City tie the game. But now with the world watching and all this pressure, he steps up and he puts in the goal to win the game for Real Madrid. Antonio Rudiger has played his best football this season. With all the injuries that Madrid face, especially to the back line. Eder Militao goes down and then Alaba goes down. We were left with the center back pairing of Antonio Rudiger and Nacho Fernandez, with even Tchouaméni having to fill in as center back at certain points of the season. Also Courtois goes down, then he comes back and then he goes down again. These aren't injuries to bench or role players, these are injuries to bona fide starters on a world-class team. But the culture at Madrid doesn't allow you to wallow in self-pity. It's next man up and you have to perform or else you're gone. Nacho was born and he stayed here because he performs. Lucas Vazquez was born here and he stays because he performs. Coming into this season, Andre Lunin was a third option keeper, and then he has to step up and perform because Kepa doesn't perform. I couldn't have asked any more out of these guys. The standard at Madrid is different, but now we're on to the semi-finals in the Champions League once again. So now the sole focus in the Champions League is solely on Bayern Munich. And now the focus in La Liga is solely on maintaining our spot at the top of the table. God damn, I love this fucking team. Now, in Real Madrid's next game, they are facing El Clásico, where they have to take on Barcelona in La Liga. Honestly, I want Madrid to win this game and to keep going. Maintain focus on the final stretch of the season in both the Champions League and La Liga, and we'll come out with a double. After everything that's gone on with this team and gone wrong for this team, the position that we find ourselves in right now is unbelievable. But that's all I have for now. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And like always, a la Madrid y nada más.